Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to reserve temple ordinance work, or reserve names to do temple ordinance work. If you're LDS, you really want to do this because this is like, I feel like this is our goal, even though it shouldn't be. It's our main goal and purpose of doing family history work is finding names and taking them to the temple and doing it. Even though it should be, yes, the main part of it, but we should also get to know our ancestors and get to know them as human beings before we do temple work. That way it's more of a spiritual thing because you realize who you're doing the work for and how much they might appreciate it and who they were for a person, and they're not just a name on a card like when you go and you do names that the temple has. They're just a name on a card, which if you get to know them as a person, it makes it so much better. So that's my recommendation, but not everybody's going to do that. So in order to find ancestors to reserve ordinance work for, you need to come to your tree and climb your tree till you find a green temple. So in other cases, you might find yellow temples like this one, which mean that there's not enough information to do the temple work. Or you might find a blue temple clear over here, like I have over here, which means somebody else has reserved the ordinances and are doing them. They're in progress. In this case, I have one right here that's green. So that means all the information's there. It's ready to go for you to reserve. Maybe. I'm going to click on it and see what it says. Yep, maybe. Generally, if you come from a long line of Mormons or LDS like I do, you're going to run into two major problems. One is possible duplicates, which is in this case the problem with Samuel, which means somebody else has added Samuel onto their family tree, and the family search wants you to merge the two people so that the big giant tree we have that we all contribute to looks good and perfect, and that we're not doing the ordinances twice, 3 times, 4 times. If it does happen, it is totally okay. Ordinance works are for, yes, the person, the spirit that you're doing the work for, the ancestor, but also it's a great opportunity for us to go there, go to the temple and do this work and become more like our Heavenly Father and learn how to do these things and be a better human being and have a spiritual experience. So if it gets done multiple times, it's okay. We're humans, we make mistakes, that's why we're here. Better to get it done twice than not at all. But Family Search just wants you to merge the duplicate just in case. So that we can save our energy to doing the work for somebody who hasn't had the work done. Another problem you'll run into, I run into it a lot, is the 110-year rule. If somebody has been born in 110 years from their birthday, so anybody who was born in 1906, because this year is 2017, so anybody who was born in 1906, we have to wait 110 years for us to reserve their temple ordinances or for it to become open to the Family Search public. This is to make sure that A, the person is dead, B, that when you go request it, because you can request it if somebody is during that 110-year section, you can request it, but when you're requesting it, that you get the closest living family's members' permission. That way we don't have any family arguments or family problems that come up from doing this. From doing temple work. I have this problem on my husband's side because he's first generation Mormon, or we thought he was first generation Mormon. Down the line there is a few that used to be Mormon, way down the line. But there are some of his family members who are like, no, we're against you being part of the church, we're against you doing temple work, and we're not allowed to do any temple work on that side of the family. But there are some family members of his that are like, I don't care if that's what you believe in, whatever. It's kind of dumb, but whatever. And they're kind of okay with us doing temple work, So that side of the tree, I can do temple work for. We can do it because we have gotten a semi permission, in my case, semi, but that's the best we're going to get. But it's just trying to not cause conflict for the family or causing conflict for those who aren't Mormon to not ever join the church because we didn't follow their rules, or if you do have other sensitive family issues, they just don't want to cause conflict. So 110-year rule, you're gonna have to ask the closest living relative, or in this case, possible duplicates. Let me see if I can find an ancestor that we can reserve the ordinance work for, and I will show you how that looks. Here is somebody that I can do ordinance work for. I have gone to their personal page and then clicked on ordinances, and this is what it looks like. So it looks like somebody has already saved their endowments and their sealing to parents, but they did not save sealing to spouse. Oh, let me hurry and give another speech. Yes, I know that baptism, it's supposed to go in order: baptism, confirmation, initiatory, endowments, then sealings. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes people share these names to the temple and they print off these people's names, and endowments happen before initiatories, or sealing to parents and spouses get done before baptism and confirmation. It happens. It seriously happens. I personally feel that I would wait. I would reserve this or request it and wait to see if that work is done, and just reserve it for when the endowment and sealing to parents is done. Or I can ask this person, hey, will you release this record to me? Release these records to me so that I can do them in the proper order. But that's not always the case. When it does happen on accident, not in order, or whatever case happens, when it's not in order, the ordinance is getting done, I feel like our Heavenly Father is not going to doom this spirit because we oops and didn't do it in order. If their endowments get done before they get baptized, I feel like that blessing is going to be reserved and held on hold for them until they get their baptism, confirmation, and initiatory work done. And then they're like, woohoo! They automatically have endowments done. I also kind of feel like the Spirit will be there for that opportunity and be like, hey, let me be there for the endowment if they really want it. It does happen of it being out of order, but I feel like the Spirit is not going to be doomed, not blessed, and not be robbed of moments or blessings or anything because we here on the living earth oopsed, because we humans oopsed. I have seen it. It does happen. You probably will see it happen. Please do not get upset. Please just let it happen and let it happen. But in the future order, try to actually do these in order and not have it oops. That would be my suggestion. So I'm actually know that I have reserved these and not a random person. So I'm actually going to request this so that I can do it. So as you saw earlier with Claire, it popped up with the same little box and we could scroll down and click all the ordinances or whatever. In this case, you can click all ordinances and it requests everybody at the bottom of the list, but there's not any for this one, so we could just click whatever boxes we want. I'm going to click all just to make sure I reserved all, because sometimes I don't and I forget sealing works like I just did. And we're going to hit request. Ooh, scroll up. So this is the church policy. I'm going to give you a brief summary of what it is. If you do reserve ordinance work, please read this carefully. It will pop up with every person that you do ordinance work for or you request ordinance work for. But please read it carefully and make sure you're following these rules. The rules are make sure you're doing people who are in your family, either direct line, third cousins, whatever. Make sure you're actually doing people in your family members. Make sure that they are dead. Make sure that they are dead. And that most of the information is correct on them. I do believe that is on here. If not, whatever. I added it. Make sure you're not doing famous people. Make sure you're not doing anything that's disapproved, such as the people in the 110-year rule. Make sure you get their request, their permission, or whatever the case may be. Make sure you're not doing Jewish people or Holocaust people without closest living family members' permission. We've already got in trouble for that once. Let's not add to it. Let's not make anybody else mad. If you're following if you have somebody that's in the 110-year rule, please ask for permission from the closest living relative and follow all that paperwork that is necessary for that. I will show you that. It's not fun, but I will show you this. After this part. Then also just other terms of agreement and the first presidency message. Once you've read all of that and you've agreed that you're following the rules, you say, I agree, I follow, add to my temple ordinance list. Woohoo! It has been added to my list. So, let's follow that 110-year rule and then we'll get to the list. Is that okay with you guys? Sorry for all the blurs, everybody. I have to protect my identity and my husband's identity. So, or our family's identity, so you're just gonna have to deal with the blurs. But as you can see, we do have a lot of family members who need temple work for, but I can't do them because I don't have permission, but I'm gonna pretend I have permission today to show you guys. So in this case, I'm gonna do these guys. Okay, so I clicked on the green temple and it's brought up a list of names. I scrolled down to the name that needs temple work for, and it's actually just sealing to spouse. That's hilarious. Yeah, see, like I said, it's kind of in and out of his family of being Mormon. I've said this once before in another video, I think. He just needs sealing work. That's hilarious. Sorry. Anyway, so he was born in the 110-year rule. As you can see, he was born in 1910. And so that does follow the 110-year rule. But I have to request permission. So to ask permission, you hit the request permission. And it should pull up a box. Here it is saying that, hey, you need to ask the closest living relative, such as spouse, parent, child, or sibling. In this case, the closest living relative that I know of is my grandmother-in-law. So she would be the closest living relative, which I think is this person's granddaughter. And I put my email address, then I put my phone number, my relation to the deceased, which in this case is my great-grandpa. Nope, great-great-grandpa-in-law. Then I put reason for requesting. He's part of my lineage. I would love to do his temple work. Person you've required the permission from. So in this case, it would be this guy's granddaughter, my husband's grandma. I know I totally just confused you all. So I would say other and put in granddaughter. And then put in her contact information and then submit it. It will give you a ID number saying that this is your case ID number if you ever do end up contacting Family Search because it's taking a long time to process. They will contact that person and make sure that they will contact that person to see if they have permission to do temple work. And if they don't, they will actually email and call you back and be like, hey, this person said that they didn't give permission. Or if it's not the closest living relative, they find out somebody else is closer to living, they'll call you back and be like, hey, or email you back and be like, hey, there's somebody who's closer to living. You need to ask them and not this person. So They do it in a nice, nonchalantly, you got in trouble voice, but they will do it. And they do check. I have done this once or twice before, actually twice before. No, 3 times. I've done this 3 times. So they do ask. And once they get permission, or once it's approved, the person's name will immediately go to your temple list, which is this. So up here, you just click temple, and it'll pull up the huge mass majority. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be horrible. The huge mass majority list, in my case, of people you reserved temple ordinance work for. So up here is all the ordinances I have requested, all 572. Yes, there is no way I'm going to get through personally all 572. But I do have a lot of people in my ward and in my family who do help me out. And I go, please, 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 please do this work for me. And they help me out. So I do save a lot of them to help with my family, but I do need to really cut back on the problem. I have an addiction. You can click up here and it will list all the ones that are, it'll show you a list of all the ordinances that are not printed. So it didn't really change because all these guys have something not printed. You can do printed and it will list all the ones that have been printed or shared, and it'll show all the ones I have shared. He needs to grab this before it expires. We can go back to reserve all. You can organize them by name, first name, last name, birth, sex, ID number. You can organize them by ceilings. You can organize them by what ordinances needs to be done, or date reserved or date modified. I really like that one because, as you can see up here, it's going to give you this big, beautiful blue bar that says, once you've requested an ordinance, you have 2 years to complete it, or it is released back to the public, and it is up for grabs in auction. Okay, not necessarily auction, but it's up for grab. So you have 2 years. That's why I like to reserve by date, because then I can get those ones that are older done faster. Yeah. So that is reserving temple names, or reserving names to do temple work for. If you have any questions, comment below. If you have any ideas of what I should film, also put it in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Have a beautiful week. Bye.